Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Joel
Farquhar.
Did I say it right?
It's close.
Close, all right.
It's a tough one.
I know it is. It is French?
It's Scottish.
Scottish.
We just asked that question.
I know we did. But
People get confused because it doesn't
it.
have a Mick or a Mac at the
That's
front.
right. That's right. Right. Well, welcome, and you're with Pivotree.
Pivotree.
Yep. So tell us what is Pivotree and what's your role there?
Yeah, Pivotree. We're a firm that specializes in sort of designing, building, and managing, enterprise e-commerce systems. We kind of focus on the total buyer journey, right from finding your item to buying it to fulfilling it, and then building trust and security across that whole sort of buyer journey. So that's kind of where we're playing and focused on delivering those for retailers and manufacturers and distributors in the B2B space. So,
Okay.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
my role, I lead the engineering team in sort of our commerce organization. So a lot of the I'm focused on enabling teams and software professionals that can help build these solutions for our customers.
Excellent. And so, and in the B2B side, more manufacturing, distribution, a mix of both?
Yeah, a little of both, right? As we're here and you see, right, the level of maturity sort of in those two buckets is varying, especially when you go to the B2C side. So, we're seeing a lot of distributors and manufacturers trying to go direct to consumer, trying to sort how they do that. So yeah, it's probably for us right now, it's an even split.
Okay, interesting.
So we've often talked about this actually. There are different variables involved. There's the size of the organization, there's the type of the organization, manufacturer versus distributor. But we often say the most important one is the maturity of the organization. Because you could have a small manufacturer that has a lot more in common with a large distributor if they're both digitally mature versus a small manufacturer and a small distributor, for example. So, but how do you guys approach that? Obviously, some kind of qualification process, but do you approach the more mature companies differently from the ones that are less mature?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the more mature, some of them have been doing it and trying to sort it out, and they kind of know their organizational challenges. A lot of what we find in the level of maturity is not so much the digital maturity, it's the organizational maturity.
Interesting.
And are they prepared to make the organizational changes? Because technology is one piece, right? But a lot of times the technology piece is secondary to the organizational changes. So the more mature ones have already sort of started to put some of that organizational change in, which allows them to enable the technology a lot better. The less mature often have a long way to go in order to make the technology work for them.
Well, let's go down that path because this is one of my favorites. So when you talk about the organizational changes, what's the big one or two that the clients that you have are most averse to doing?
The two biggest challenges that I see, one is, and we focus a lot on it because we believe it's core, is the data. Like, is your data ready to go online and create those digital experiences? So that's one big key piece. On organizational structure, like changes, are they organizationally prepared for the shift in the buyer experience? Like, right now, a lot, like if they haven't set up the proper compensation packages for their current sales team, right? Where we've done B2B implementations, done these phenomenal technology transformations, but nobody comes to buy.
Right.
And it takes years for them to make that organizational change. It's like, how do you comp your sales team to get those people to drive people to the online channel? If they still like doing paper and pencil and their commission structures are dependent on it, then they're going to keep doing that, right? And so where we've seen a lot of these digital transformations fall down fast is on that shift. Are you prepared to make that shift? Are you preparing your sales teams? Because me coming from the technology side, I hate, you build something phenomenal and then it sits there and you're getting 2 orders a day and everybody's wondering why, right?
So who's the you in your description there? Because we have a theory too, but when you say, are you ready to make that switch?
I think it's right top down from the organization, right? Are they prepared to, focus on making sure that they've done the training and the due diligence and like I said, adjusting compensation packages and not making sure that, sometimes what we see was very successful, sort of those commodity buys go digital, but sort of those bigger, more strategic purchases from their end customers don't ever, because a lot of their sales team like to have some of those engagements. But yeah, it's tough, right? I think it's it's where we see in B2B, it's very, very different from B2C, where B2C is like, it's almost like Field of Dreams often, or not so much anymore, but it used to be, right? You build it, they will come. B2B, it's not quite like that. You really got to work with your end customers to drive them to that digital challenge. You have to have strategies to get them there, and work with your customers, train them, and it's sort of a bigger lift in shifting some of those, especially when your end customers are probably not as mature as well, right?
That's
it's
true.
The way they're buying, right?
Yeah.
Like we've had customers in sort of the farming industry. It's tough to get people that are working on the farms to shift to buying online when they don't buy stuff that way typically, right? So, yeah.
So you guys work on a lot of different platforms, right?
Yep.
The full stack platforms, the headless platform, all these different platforms. Tell us about what you see changing and evolving there, and what even as it relates to B2C to B2B, how they're converging in terms of capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time, right? Like, and there's a few of them here at B2B Online, right? There's a lot of platforms right now, and there's a lot of messaging that's very common and consistent that we're seeing, right? We're hearing a lot about composable. Right. So a lot of the key platforms are going composable. How can customers pull together best of breed solutions to deliver these, amazing experiences? It's really a B2C, it's very B2C, right? That's because B2C is very focused on those digital experiences and how do you get the best digital experience. The question becomes a little bit, is that the right solution for everybody? Especially as you're looking at the B2B market, where user experience is not necessarily in a B2B space the number one driving factor of what's going to make your site successful, right? What makes a good B2B platform fundamentally in my mind could be very different to what makes a good B2C platform. So we're seeing that composable messaging going out. I wonder, is it the right solution for everybody? And especially when we go to B2B, I think we talked a little bit earlier, right? Like we're starting to see Shopify push into the B2B market. And we're actually seeing a number of smaller customers for sure, especially ones that have a less robust set of B2B requirements. They don't have sophisticated B2B requirements, but they're still technically a manufacturer or distributor that wants to sell direct to consumer. And so we're seeing that Shopify might be the right solution for some of these customers that want to test and learn and work through some of those organizational changes first before they have a massive investment in some of these.
Are you getting help from Shopify though for them? Because our experience has been they're pretty cryptic about their involvement in B2B, and if they gorge from one extreme to the other, like we don't want to talk to people who are doing B2B to, we want to only talk to people doing B2B. And it's been hard for us to kind of figure out. We've tried to reach out to them in the past. When I was at Forrester, didn't get a lot of reception for that, but you're in a different position. What do you find? Yeah,
I mean, Shopify is an interesting organization that way, right? It's tough to get exactly clear indication of where they're going. I think even if you look back in the early Plus days when they first launched Shopify Plus, it was tough to understand, like, how far were they going to go with this? Were they going to push far enough into the enterprise and up market? We're starting to see that they're starting to get pretty good success pushing up market. I think B2B is going to be a bit the same, right? If you look at their capabilities right now, they're not strong, right? But they are investing. The question will be, and what we have to watch over the next couple of years is how much are they going to invest? Like if you look at the Gartner report, right, like they invested, they're investing probably more in R&D in their platform than any of the other vendors, right? So how much of that allocation is going to B2B? I guess it'll depend how much success they have over the years.
So where does it start and stop in B2B? Where you describe some more, kind of use cases that were...
I would say it's pretty basic right now. Very simple sort of B2B type pricing. Okay. So, they have very basic support for price listing and, they have some basic support for organizational structures and organizational sort of management.
So is there some workflow built in, some permissioning?
There's basic workflow and basic sort of, buyer permissions and that kind of stuff. Do they have, quote to order? Not really. Do they have, very complex pricing and,
What about custom catalogs?
They do, not to the level that you would see in sort of the enterprise grade platforms,
Right.
but and then again, when anything on Shopify, what's unique about Shopify is your ability to customize the platform. So, is there an opportunity for somebody like Pivotree maybe to come
Right.
in and add some of these more advanced capabilities that we've learned from the enterprise platforms and maybe bring some of that down market to some of the customers. So it's an interesting time for them. We'll have to, it's sort of a wait and see for me.
To me, it's interesting too, because as you know, Andy, they earn a lot of their revenue and profit from their pay applications.
Yeah, that's right.
So, in B2B, the world of B2B, you've got, pay on account, you've got all these other payment
It's not a
methods.
credit card business.
It's not a credit card business. And so, it is, but plus, right? There's other, so yeah, I'm just curious to see where they're going to go with
It
that.
might require a shift in the model. That's a good point.
yeah.
Which they're probably not likely to do.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's an internal discussion for them, right?
What I think is unique is when you have some of these, because we talked about the maturity level, is Shopify represent an opportunity for some of these customers to test and learn, and that before they say, okay, now we're going all in, and they would go with maybe a more sophisticated platform like Spryker or SAP or something more upmarket that's going to give them that more robust set of capabilities.
So tomorrow, Andy and I are debating AI and whether it's a solution to the $3 trillion data problem. I'm curious how you think AI plays into all this. Is it something, you referenced data earlier? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I'd be on the pro side, right? Like we work with
Smart man.
Yeah.
You hear that, Brian? You'll come along.
All right.
The way we look at it in our data, like we have a whole data services team, and one of the things that we work heavily on is how do we help our customers improve the data.
Sure.
And when you have customers like the Grangers of the world that have like millions and millions of SKUs, the time, like one of the factors that they measure is the time. How long does it take to get a SKU from nothing to sellable, right? Yep. And what we're seeing is using, both predictive and we use predictive AI to kind of, how do we categorize products properly? How do we attribute products correctly? If we can look at rules based on as SKUs are coming in, hey, that looks like this SKU, it probably is that type of SKU, let's attribute it accordingly. Generative AI to help with descriptions and to help with all the other content that goes with it. We're seeing a lot of that time, they're cutting down the time from SKU creation, by factors of 90%, reducing the time.
Can you actually get, we have these discussions with the practitioners all the time, right? Tim GPT on tomorrow on my team.
Yeah.
These are big companies, some of the mid-sized companies that have tried this and said, you know what, it gets us part of the way there, but not all the way.
Yeah, and it's really, to me, it's about efficiency, because what's the, what is contributing to that? What's the number? 2 trillion? What was it?
3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
$3 trillion.
Well, that's even bigger.
Yep.
How do you? It's because I don't think you're going to reduce that to nothing. But a factor of 10% on 3 trillion is a massive savings for some of these large B2B organizations that have massive SKU volumes. So I think what it's going to allow a lot of these companies to do is to just improve the depth and quality of the data through their catalogs and get stuff out faster.
Can you fully trust the AI though? I mean, just ask ChatGPT to give me a product description. It's kind of scary.
No, you can't, and it's going to improve over time. But I think, how long does it take a human to write that from scratch versus how long does it take them to edit, write it and then edit
That's
it?
fair. Mm-hmm.
And what we're finding huge success in is even building taxonomies. Like you can ask it to look at a catalog and build a taxonomy for you. And some of our customers take, months to build out that taxonomy, whereas something like ChatGPT can do it in, at least give you a rough skeleton in seconds, right?
So it's a starting point.
Definitely a starting point, and to us, it's about how do you reduce that time to value.
Well, and plus we know from the laws of kinetics and motion that the hardest thing is the start, right? Once you get going, it'll take you with it. But I think the hardest lift is the very beginning. It's getting the thing going, and if we can just get these things going with generative AI, then the easy stuff's at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Interesting stuff. So what's next? What's when you look at 2024, what are you seeing as major trends? What do you see companies investing in? Are they pulling back? Are they investing as heavily? I mean, you got the economy question marks and all this.
We're seeing. I think we can all agree that 2023 in e-commerce was a challenging year, right? The post-COVID sort of blues and sort of the uncertainty of the economy. But we're seeing definitely in Q4 signs of life. So I expect, and if the trend continues, that 2024 we're going to see bigger investments, especially within the B2B space. I think some of these companies have been holding off big capital expenditures until the economy is a little more certain. Starting to see some of those, some investment happening. In data, I think the investment in data, we heard in some of the sessions this morning, the investment in data I think is going to be critical for a lot of these companies. Is how do you improve the data to improve online conversions? The platform, when we look at the technology platforms, I think composable is still going to be the messaging. The messaging next year of, especially in the B2C space, I wonder if, you're going to start to see some of, is this producing, is going in a composable architecture producing the results that people look for? I think we're going to start to get that answer in 2024, because I think we're still early days. Like, we've heard a lot of companies go on this journey. Are they getting the results? I think we'll start to get more visibility of that. And I think we're probably going to see, it's not a one size fits all. And that's where some of the Shopifys maybe start to come in. Like, if I'm looking for just to get something up, simple to manage, simple to own, we might start to see some messaging going back the other way.
Yeah, to your point about just getting started, right? Getting the momentum going. So, well, great. Well, thank you very much for your time,
I
Joel. We
appreciate
appreciate it. It was wonderful talking to you. And you're is it an Ironman or is it
CrossFit?
CrossFit. That's
CrossFit, yeah.
Excellent.
And the rule of CrossFit is we always talk about CrossFit. So
that's perfect.
Did you do some down here in West Palm Beach?
I have not. No, I'm going to use this. Usually when I travel, I try to sometimes use it as let my body rest and heal a bit.
Right. Pretty intense.
So I'm going to do that while I'm down here, maybe lay by the pool.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
They got to open it first since it wasn't open yet.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed. I showed up yesterday just to lay by
West
it.
Palm Beach with no pool. What the heck?
Brian, there's an ocean too. You heard of it? It's like just a couple of miles away from here. It's a big pool.
Oh, okay.
It's a big pool.
Thank
That's
you.
what I think.
Thank you. Well, Joel, thank you very much.
I
We appreciate
appreciate
your
it.
time.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
stopping
you.
by the studio. Okay, we'll see you
Thanks,
soon.
Andy.
Enjoy the rest
Yeah.
of the conference. We'll be right back, folks.